Sex may feel like the end of a moment, but inside the body, something much bigger may just be beginning. So what actually happens after sex? Where does the sperm go, and what has to happen before pregnancy can begin? It begins with something microscopic: sperm cells released in semen, each carrying genetic material that could potentially meet an egg. After ejaculation, sperm begin moving through the reproductive tract, but the journey ahead is far from simple.
Millions begin the journey, but only a fraction make it through the cervix and continue toward the uterus. Those that continue can enter the uterus, where the journey becomes even more demanding. From here, sperm can move toward the fallopian tubes, where an egg may be waiting. But here's something many people don't realize. Having sex does not mean an egg is automatically there.
For pregnancy to occur naturally, timing matters. An ovary must release an egg in a process called ovulation.
An egg usually survives for only about a day after ovulation, while sperm can remain viable for several days.
That is why sex in the days before ovulation can sometimes result in pregnancy, even though fertilization happens later.
Now imagine the microscopic race continuing inside the fallopian tube, with sperm moving toward a single potential destination. The egg is far larger than a sperm cell, but reaching it is only part of the challenge. Several sperm may reach the egg, but fertilization normally begins when one sperm successfully enters and fuses with it. This is fertilization, the moment the genetic material from sperm and egg comes together to form a new single cell.
Once fertilization occurs, changes in the egg help prevent another sperm from joining it.
And now, the story changes completely. That single fertilized cell begins dividing into more and more cells. While those cells multiply, the developing cluster continues moving through the fallopian tube toward the uterus.
The destination is the uterus, whose inner lining can provide a place for the developing pregnancy to implant.
After several days of development, the growing cell cluster reaches the uterus and prepares for another critical step.
It begins attaching to the uterine lining. This process is called implantation, and it is a crucial step in establishing pregnancy.
But not every sexual encounter leads to fertilization, and not every fertilized egg successfully implants in the uterus. If fertilization doesn't happen, the egg eventually breaks down, and the menstrual cycle continues.
The uterine lining that had been preparing for a possible pregnancy eventually breaks down and leaves the body as menstruation.
But if implantation occurs, the story takes another path. The developing embryo remains attached and begins a remarkable process of growth.
What started as one microscopic cell is now becoming a complex collection of cells with different jobs and destinations. Some of these developing cells contribute to the placenta, an organ that helps support the pregnancy. And pregnancy isn't something the body recognizes instantly after sex. Implantation and hormonal changes come later. So the idea that pregnancy simply starts the moment sex happens is far too simple. There are several biological steps in between. Sex can create the possibility. Fertilization creates a new embryo. Implantation establishes the pregnancy inside the uterus. And remember where the crucial meeting happens. Fertilization normally takes place in the fallopian tube. The egg's opportunity is brief, which is why the timing of ovulation plays such an important role in conception. Sperm, however, can survive for several days under favorable conditions, creating a wider fertile window.
That's why sex occurring before ovulation can still lead to pregnancy. Sperm may already be present when the egg is released.
Think about how extraordinary that is. An event involving two people can eventually be traced down to microscopic cells.
One cell divides. Then it divides again. Slowly, a simple beginning becomes an increasingly organized developing embryo. Over the following weeks, different structures begin developing, including early foundations of the brain, spine, and heart.
The body begins organizing itself into specialized tissues and structures, each following an incredibly complex developmental program.
And that's why this isn't just another biology lesson. It is a process that begins with something incredibly familiar to human life.
Even when sperm and egg are present, pregnancy is not guaranteed. Human reproduction is a process with many biological conditions.
So let's follow the journey one final time. Sperm travels, an egg is released, and the two may meet. If they do, fertilization creates a new single cell carrying genetic material from both the egg and the sperm. That cell begins dividing while moving toward the uterus, gradually becoming a growing cluster of cells. Comes implantation, when the developing pregnancy attaches to the uterine lining and continues its development. From an event measured in moments, the body can begin a biological process that unfolds over many weeks. And the fascinating part is that most of this happens without us ever seeing it, feeling it, or even knowing it is happening.
While you go about your normal day, thousands of microscopic processes can be quietly unfolding inside your body.
So sex is not simply a beginning or an ending. Biologically, it can be the first step in an extraordinary chain of events. But what happens next? How does one tiny cluster of cells eventually become a developing human being? That's the next part of the story. Follow Anatomy IQ, because we're going inside the first weeks of pregnancy, step by step.